want to talk about this self-esteem cycle, which you see right here. Think about the powerful mind that we have over here. But when we have an experience, normally we talk to ourselves about it. You know, what a dumbhead am I? Oh, I did that terrible. And so on and so forth. Usually we're beating ourselves over the head if we've had a bad experience out here. Or we've got deep-seated fears. Or we're creating this tremendous picture or image of us weak, fearful, whatever it may be, ill. And the self-talk reinforces the picture or image that we have of ourselves. This picture or image controls our performance and behavior out here. See, it becomes the truth as we believe it to be. And therefore we act out that truth in our performance and behavior. And then when we have a behavior or performance, either positive or negative, it'll stimulate more self-talk. And we get into this vicious circle, so to speak, go round and round, and if we're still self-talking ourselves to death, saying how terrible we are and what we're lower than a worm in the dust and all that sort of thing, we create a picture like that. And it controls our behavior, you see. And our self-talk is really an affirmation. That's what our self-talk is. It's an affirmation. And a simple test to see if you're on the right track is ask yourself this: do I want this thing that I am saying about myself realized in my life? If I'm saying what a dumbhead I am, do I really want that out here in my life? You know, spread out before the world so they can see it and there's no doubt then? If we're saying it about another, is it something that we really want to see out in their experience? Because remember, anytime you're talking self-talk, you are creating, shall we say, you're putting in here the words and the pictures that are going to generate the power to bring a mental equivalent out into your life. Let me read you page 153 in this book. What he calls them mental barriers, and it's a good way. See if you recognize any of these. I'm too young. I can't expect to set the world on fire at my age. I'm too old. My life is over. I'll soon retire anyway. I'm too stupid. I'm too clumsy. I'm awkward. I'm a slow thinker, sort of dense, never have a good memory. Nothing works out for me. What can you expect with my lack of education? Do you hear those affirmations? And every one of them will trigger a picture to go along with it. We also have another book, which I'm not going to go through that tonight, but it says it's a book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And in here, he's got some dandies too, which we don't need to be putting that out into the universal. But it's an excellent book talking about this self-talk, what we say to ourselves, you see, and the damage it does. So this is what makes the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Okay? Get into a poverty, thinking, thought, syndrome, and all you do is perpetuate the same thing out in your experience. There's another poem, which I have here, Most of you are probably familiar with it. It's called My Wage, W-A-G-E. I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening as I counted my scanty store. For life is a just employer and will pay whatever you ask. But once you have set the wages, then you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life, life would have gladly paid. The author, that's Jesse Rittenhouse, but you see, whatever we ask of life, it will gladly pay. Whatever we put in here, it has the sole purpose of bringing that dominant thought into existence. On the back of that card, which you'll receive tonight, is anything the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. From Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. Just to help you remind yourself of the power that you have. How does the self-talk cycle work? Let me give you some examples. In football, which we're getting into that season again, but even in high school, I guess they put the games on film. They take films of the games, college and pros. And what they do generally is the next time after the game, when they get together, they run the film and they show them all the dumb things that they've done. And the coach will say, all right, run it again, Charlie. And Bill, he says, now watch this. And he shows everything that Bill did wrong. So he gets it and he says, you got it now? Yeah, I got it, Coach. Well, let's go out and practice. So they go out and practice, do the same dumb thing all over again. See? Batters get in slumps. How do they do that? What happens all of a sudden? Well, they come up one day and they're not just feeling right, feeling a little down, and they got a fast pitcher in there, and the ball comes back and he hardly sees it, and he thinks to himself, my God, I'll never be able to hit that. Just isn't possible. And with that thought that he's putting in here, his wrist will automatically turn, so he'll miss the ball. He doesn't do that consciously. He wants to hit the ball. But he's giving the instructions to miss it. I can't miss it. I can't hit that ball. Golfers, same way. I'm one of them. You know what my biggest problem is get up to tee off and there's a lake out of here and I know the ball's going to go in there. It does. See, I got a beautiful picture of that. I'm working on that though. But that's what happens, you see. We build the mental equivalent first up here, you see. Sometimes you're called to get up in a meeting and speak, and fear sets in, and you get that uncomfortable feeling that settles behind the belt buckle. And we begin to think to ourselves, my God, I don't want to talk. I don't want to do this. I'll make a fool of myself. Who wants to hear me? My God, I'm terrible. And the first thing you know, we're back in this here, and we're doing all the things that a nervous person does. Most of you, I've told a lot of you people about Dr. Carl Symington. It's in this book right here on page 15. It says here, a prominent medical doctor specializing in cancer cure teaches his patients to mentally see the cancerous area completely healed. He has them imagine new cells replacing the old cancerous cells. He has them quietly meditating on this healed area each day and works with them on overcoming the mental and emotional feelings that contributed to the illness. They build new attitudes that cause healing. See? He's helping them to build by getting different pictures. See? And it works for those that can accept it. A few years ago, 3 or 4, Abby and I had the privilege of being in an all-day seminar with Dr. Symington. And he says, I've got a new technique that I'm using for my cancer patients. Because most every cancer patient he gets a terminal. At least that's the medical pronouncement. And he says, I teach them to fire walk. He says, I know you're thinking, what on earth does fire walking have to do with healing people from cancer? And he says, just this. He says, when I get these patients, he says, their belief system is this. If I walk in water, I get wet. Okay? If I fall off a cliff, I'll die. If I have cancer, I'll die. If I walk on fire, barefoot, I'll get burned. And that's the belief system that they have. So he says, what I do is I teach them to walk on coals of fire, which are about 1,200 degrees hot, and they walk with their bare feet. I've seen it. I haven't done it yet. I'd like to do it sometime. But those that can do it, all of a sudden they say, my God, I can walk on fire and not get burned. I've got cancer. I don't have to die. And that's what he does, is to get that shock treatment to begin to change the self-talk, you see, and begin to have them start imaging. What he does is he gets a lot of people to image in their bloodstreams these fish with great big jaws and mouths, and they go around and they eat up all the bad cells. So there's nothing left but good ones. He said the ones that can make that switch, that change, they're healed or get remission. The others that can't, that think it's a lot of hokey, they just don't make it. But that shows you the power of the mind. See? We live, we love, we work, we act, not in accordance with the truth, but we live, love, work, act in accordance with the truth as we think it is about ourselves, as we believe it to be. If I believe I'm going to die, I've got all of the power going into that thought. Easy to change? Heck no. Didn't say it was easy. The Christian religion is the toughest teaching that I know of, if you're going to follow. When your performance does not live up to your expectations, don't spend time belittling yourself and diminishing your self-image. And this is the human way to do it, see. We want to get in there and tell ourselves how terrible we are and start diminishing ourselves. Negative self-talk will only perpetuate poor performance. Instead, affirm to yourself, that's not like me. The next time, I'll be more patient. The next time, I'll be more loving. The next time, I'll approach my client this way. See? And what you do is immediately you say, that's not like me, and then you affirm what you want to be. More patient, more loving. I'll approach the client this way, and so on. What you're doing with these statements is giving positive and immediate feedback to your subconscious, and instead of recording a negative picture in here, we're recording a positive picture. See, we want to trigger a picture of the performance that we want. And the key to reinforcing an already existing good self-image, or in modifying a current self-image for the better, is to picture what you want your performance to be like, and to stop picturing what you don't want or are trying to avoid. Never, never try to complete a negative statement. Always reverse them and put them in a positive self-talk statement. Okay? When your performance pleases you and you feel good about it, you should use positive self-talk to reinforce the positive picture. Affirm to yourself, that's like me. I did that very well. Or good job, that's like me. Or if you're dieting, you get through a day, that's like me. I do that real well. It was easy for me. You see? and begin to reinforce that feeling with positive statements, and begin to picture yourself in the slim body, if that's what you're going for, a real healthy body, if you're changing eating habits, for example, and just begin to tell yourself that, hey, I did a good job. I'm proud of myself. That was easy for me to stay on my diet. See? Instead of telling yourself what a terrible thing you went through that day, you see, you need to begin to have the affirmative. Pat yourself on your back when you do well. I want to share with you another poem on goals, and the author is unknown. And it goes like this on this little green card. Blessed is the one indeed who in this life can find a purpose that can fill his days and goals to fill his mind. The world is filled with little people content with where they are, not knowing joy's success can bring. No will to go that far. Yet with this world there is no need for some to lead the rest, to rise above the average life by giving of their best. Would you be the one who dares to try when challenged by the task, to rise to heights you've never seen? Or is that too much to ask? This is your day, a world to win, great purpose to achieve. Accept the challenge of your goals and in yourself believe. You will be proud of what you've done when at the close of day you look back on your battles won, content you came this way. There's a book that was written on the great masters by a man named Walter Abel, where he refers to people like Beethoven and Mozart who were able to release this tremendous power that all of you have from the depths of your own being and use it for the purpose of accomplishing their own goals. Walter Abel in this book tells about Beethoven, who had set a goal to write a symphony. So Beethoven is sitting quietly, and all of a sudden he hears this chord. Just one chord of various tones and formations. And just like that, he has the whole symphony. It took him weeks to write it down on paper. It takes an orchestra almost an hour to play it. But he caught it all, just like that, in one flash. Where did it come from? Did it come out of the heavens? Out of some psychic flow? No, it came out of the depths of infinite intelligence, divine mind, superconscious mind, which he would hear as a symphony. A poet would see it as a poem. A sculptor would see it as a boy David. A painter would see it as a beautiful picture, landscape. An inventor would see it as a new invention for the betterment of mankind. Dr. Don would see it as a sermon or a lesson. A tremendous idea coming out of the depths within of direct inspiration. Of course, Beethoven was of a musical consciousness, so he saw it as a beautiful symphony. See? The true goal setting and goal accomplishing is a super mind process. Right here. Super mind process. In the infinite mind counterpart within, there is an answer to every need, and our job is to lowly listen. To begin to tune in on the divine ideas of God, and then come into agreement with them. What do I mean by agreement? Is being able to look through the appearance and behold. Let's say you go into a hospital room, okay, as I did last Sunday in intensive care with tubes coming out of his mouth and nose and all this sort of thing, couldn't talk. And the best thing for me to do was to get away from that because I was buying into the picture. See? My job was to behold the Christ in him as a perfect, loving light, a child of God. And that's how we become part of the process, is not buying in to the appearance out here. Whatever is presenting itself to us that we know is unlike the true nature of God. The divine idea represented behind the appearance was perfect health. Okay? That's what his true nature is. He's not expressing it right now. But again, faith declares that she has already received before there's the slightest visible evidence. So we begin to build the mental equivalent of what we want, of perfect health, know that it is absolutely certain and true on the spiritual side of life, and then begin to affirm that truth. We don't affirm the appearance. If you've got a busted bank account, you don't affirm that. You know that it is filled now, and you begin to see it already in your mind. Actually see entries in your checkbook or whatever, savings account, whatever it may be, of the amounts that you know that you can get, can have. Your goal that is right for you. And you see it as it is truly on the spiritual side of life. When setting and achieving goals, we wonder, where is the money going to come from? Where will I get the people, the clients, the customers? Where will I get the information that I need to achieve the goal? See, many of these questions that we ask about that, it's not even reasonable for us to have the answers at this point in the goal-setting process. Page 14, second paragraph, it says this: setting and achieving goals becomes an art and a science when one realizes that goal achievement is governed by definite mental laws. Mental laws, and not by luck or chance. Everyone should know these laws and how they work. Everyone should know the penalties of misusing the law, as well as the successes that come with applying them wisely and properly. What are the penalties? We set them up ourselves because the law of mind action is always at work. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind, and we get to choose the thoughts that we put in there. And so if we're putting in negative, devaluing thoughts, then we must accept the responsibility for negative experiences out in our own life. See, the human race has a built-in screening device that actually brings the needed information to you, sometimes referred to as the sixth sense. Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, you'll see this statement in there. Through the aid of the sixth sense, you will be warned of impending dangers in time to avoid them, and you will be notified of opportunities in time to embrace them. And this is a very apt description of the reticular activating system, which we all have, located at the base of our brain. At the time Napoleon Hill wrote his book, there wasn't much known about the reticular activating system. But he knew how it worked, and what results could be obtained by using it correctly. And this reticular activating system is that actual net-like group of cells, located at the base of the brain, which is also called our alerting device. It has a specific job of locking out all information, building a scotoma, a blind spot, to all information that isn't important or isn't of value to you right now. Remember, you all have this, and I have it too. It's a screening device, like the executive secretary that sorts out all the junk mail. Okay? Let me give you a good example of how this works. Maybe some of you experienced this. A mother's in a room going to sleep, and the next room is a little baby. Out in the other room is the teenagers with having a little party and the TV on, and there's planes going overhead, and they're right near a freeway with trucks going by. The mother is sound asleep. Absolutely hears nothing at all. Baby wakes up and cries, and that information gets through because that's important. She gets up and takes care of the baby. You see. And all of us have had similar experiences like that. See, the information that's important to her gets through. All the rest of it is screened out, blocked out. So our reticular only allows information to get through that is of value or is a threat. Everything else is absolutely locked out. So here's the important point to remember. You must determine what is of value to you. In other words, you have to set a goal. What is of value to you? What kind of job are you looking for? What kind of refrigerator do you want? What kind of a house? What kind of a car? What kind of knowledge do you want? You must set a goal first before the information gets through. It's locked out. If you don't know what job you want, for example, you look around and you believe that there's no jobs available. Nobody wants to hire you. Because that information doesn't get through until you have set a clear goal. Remember, our first step was getting clearly in mind exactly what it is you want. You know, until you decide that you want a Park Avenue Buick, so you never see them around. But once you've decided what you want, you set a goal for that, you see these Buicks all over the place. See? You think I wonder where they came from. They weren't there before. No, they were there before. You just didn't see them. See? Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that you have to set a goal first, clearly in mind. The information does not get through first. You've got to set a goal. Get clearly in mind exactly what it is that you want. See, there's information all over the place. There's information throughout the whole universe, and you can't get it all in at one time. It'll drive you nuts. So we have this screening device that just keeps the stuff away, you see, until you have set a goal and decided what's important to me. Then you begin to see. The reticular opens up, and you find what you're looking for all over the place. You see other people with them. See jobs open up that you knew never existed before. See? That's the idea. When you begin to understand the use of your reticular activating system and use it intelligently with faith, so-called miracles will happen in your life. And it'll appear as if magic. But a miracle is just the way it's supposed to be. So I want you to expect a miracle. Okay? You'll get one of these cards, carry it with you, put it in your home, on the mirror, or in your car. Always be expectant of good things happening in your life. And begin to build that mental equivalent within you for the fruition of that. We have another little card for you, which is on white. Just to remind you, it says there are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. And the other one is both poverty and riches are the offspring of thought. Both poverty and riches are the offspring of thought. just to remind you again. There's this little one that's called Winners and Losers. It says the winner is always part of the answer. The loser is always part of the problem. The winner always has a program. The loser always has an excuse. The winner sees an answer for every problem. The loser sees a problem for every answer. The winner sees, I put this in because I'm a golfer. The winner sees a green near every sand trap. The loser sees 2 or 3 sand traps near every green. The winner says it may be difficult, but it's possible. The loser says it may be possible, but boy, it's difficult. The winner sees an opportunity in every problem, while the loser sees a problem in every opportunity. Remember this, change the belief about yourself. Believe in your new self, accept your new self, live your new self. Actually be the new person you have accepted yourself to be. Remember, it all begins in the mind. What we involve in our mind, we evolve into our experience. I want to leave you with the final review of the 4 steps. 1, get clearly in mind exactly what it is you want, the thought. Develop the strong conviction that it's already yours, the feeling. Do everything in the outer you can to bring it about, to make it happen. That's action step. And 4th is let go, release, accept it as already done. And let go of all the tension. That's the acceptance step. 4 steps. Only 1 is done in the outer. The action step, number 3. 1, 2, and 4 are all done on the inner. And the inner is more important than the one outer that you do. I want to close with this poem, which probably all of you are familiar with. It comes from Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. I have a card for it. It says, if you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it's almost certain you won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out of the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win that prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or late, the one who wins is the one who thinks he can. On the back of that card, again, I become what I think. I am a winner. And underneath that, the law of mind action, so you won't forget it. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Don't forget, I'll have the ushers hand out a packet in just a few minutes that each of you can have and take with you. But I hope that with this visit that we've had tonight, that you'll become feeling better about your goals and know that you can achieve them and accomplish them. You have the power within you right now to accomplish any of your goals. Yeah, it's going to take work. Probably some of the hardest work you've ever had is to change yourself and do it without banging yourself over the head. It's not easy, but it's tremendously worthwhile. Let's just take a moment, shall we? And just open our hearts and minds to the beautiful living truth of Spirit. Father, we give thanks for all of the good that's unfolding in our life. We know that we can accomplish that which we desire. We know how to check out our desires. We know how to find out if it's realistic. And then we know how to build, create with God the mental equivalent of what it is that we want to experience in our life. Whether it be good human relationships, whether it be perfect health, whether it be expressing more of God's love and peace in our minds, in our hearts, in our life. We have it all. It's all within us now. And we can express this God self at our very highest and best at all times. And we give thanks as we pray in the name and through the power of Jesus Christ. And so it is. Amen.